Welcome back. It's been over 2.5 months since I last posted any type of video to my YouTube channel, and I saw something yesterday on YouTube.
I'm just gonna say it, I think smartphone photography and videography just kind of sucks.
That video made me think, why is it so bad to shoot with a smartphone?
I honestly don't think you should be using your iPhone or Android or whatever for photography.
I actually started shooting with a smartphone when I did videos and photography. I used my iPhone 7 that I actually still own and use till this day. And seeing that video yesterday, that smartphone photography sucks, I disagree with it a lot.
All these cameras are getting better. It is so hard for me to just grab one of these now and have it absolutely suck. Like, that's not happening anymore. We used to have some real crappy front-facing images, and rear-facing for that matter. Blur, you can't get a good frame. That's not the case anymore. Man, we are seeing some improvements at all aspects.
So I'm a big phone person. I went with the Pixel 2 XL. Yes, I recommend it. For the most part, you're just tapping and shooting in auto, and when you do that, this camera does an incredible job. Sharpness, on point. Contrast, on point. Color accuracy, on point. Dynamic range, on point. Autofocus, on point. Bokeh, on point. Everything that can be good about a camera is really good about the Pixel 2's camera, and it has the results to show it. I've loved taking and sharing photos from this thing over the past couple weeks. It's been the most frequent, "That's a nice photo, what did you take this on?" comment maker.
And on top of that, why you should just buy a real camera if you want to go on a trip and actually take photos and video instead of just using your little smartphone. But don't worry about getting the best cameras right away. Expensive gear will not make you an amazing filmmaker, so focus on really mastering the craft, and then no matter what you're using, even if it's a phone like this, you're gonna be able to make some really amazing content. Here's why. First off, depth of field. Because the phones have such a small sensor, you're not really getting any depth of field unless you're using one of their like gimmicky portrait photo things and it kind of just like fake blurs everything. It doesn't look that good. You're never gonna get that really nice shallow depth of field look that you can get with real DSLRs or mirrorless cameras. You're never gonna get that. And that's one of the best things, one of my favorite things with photography and videography is getting that nice shallow depth of field. It just isolates your subject from the background or whatever you're taking a photo of or a video clip of. So yeah, no shallow depth of field. That's probably the biggest reason why I think iPhone photography or smartphone photography sucks.
Its next generation neural engine dedicates machine learning to everything from augmented reality to photography. With a more advanced dual camera system and neural engine, iPhone is again taking us to a new era of photography, where even more capable sensors are combined with lenses, chips, and advanced software delivering smart HDR across your photos, creating images like never before. Portrait mode on both the back camera and front true depth camera now features more nuanced, software-enhanced, adjustable depth of field.
The Galaxy S9's revolutionary camera introduces dual aperture that adapts just like the human eye to capture stunning pictures in bright daylight, to low light, and even to super low light.
Number two, fixed focal length. You can't put on a different lens and get a wider shot or a more zoomed in shot. You're just stuck to that. And again, that sucks. Like, I want to get different kinds of shots. I want to get a really wide shot and then use a little bit more of a medium lens for portraits and get that nice shallow depth of field. With a smartphone, you're just stuck with that one lens. Moment makes some really amazing lenses, and I would say they're probably the most high quality lenses for mobile phone photography or videography. These guys make a really good product.
When it comes to phone and phone photography or phonography, or I can't believe this is even a thing, you can tell quality went into this product. You throw a specific case on your phone that has a little mount on it, and all you gotta do, line up the two lines, twist, that lens is now on your phone. You've got an 18mm, or you've got a super fish. They make a telephoto and a macro lens. I think for the individual that's like not sure if they want to get into DSLRs or mirrorless cameras or anything like that, but are like toying with the idea, this is a great kind of stepping stone for that. Now, at the same time, for the people that do own DSLRs and those types of cameras, I also think this is great. There's something to be said about just being able to leave the house like a normal human without having to carry your entire studio with you.
So number 3, you have very little control over the settings. Unless you're using some other app, you can kind of control some of them, but it's just a nightmare every time I've used some sort of app to change the settings and all that stuff. It just doesn't work very well, and if you're not using one of those apps, then you have absolutely no control over your settings. Number 4, you're not getting raw photos. Again, unless you're using some sort of other program, you don't have raw photos, and raw photos are just so much better than JPEG photos. There's just so much more room to edit them, and so yeah, you're missing out on that too. And then lastly, your footage is almost always going to be shaky when you're taking video clips with your smartphone. Because it's so small and light, you're almost always going to get a little bit of shaky footage. Yeah, now they have some good stabilization kind of built in, that electronic stabilization, but it's still not the same. It's going to be shaky and whatever. You're just not going to get that good of footage. So you need a stabilizer, and I was actually lucky enough to test out one of the new prototypes for the Movi. This is the new gimbal that just came out yesterday, I think, from FreeFly, and it's for mobile phones. So if you don't know, FreeFly is kind of like the OG company for gimbals. They were the first ones to make really high quality gimbals for filmmaking, and if you go to any Hollywood or high-end commercial set, you're gonna see FreeFly's gimbals in action. They are the top of the line, the best of the best. So yeah, next time you're traveling to an epic place, just invest in an actual camera instead of just using your smartphone.
Quite literally, the best camera is the one that's with you. And if you've got your $10,000 Nikon hanging around your neck and you're one of the 1% that actually has that, then that's the best camera. But the reality is that most of the time what we have on us is some derivation of a handheld phone, you know, that is enabled with a camera.
I wanted to bring light to the situation with someone that I've actually worked with, someone that I know personally, and someone who I consider a professional photographer. I want to introduce you guys to, hey everybody, this is PJ. What I experienced yesterday seeing that video when it came to smartphone photography versus DSLR, there's a lot of different pros and cons to it. I just wanted to get your insight.
When I came into photography, I did not use really the phone. It was like, you're right, about 5 or 6 years ago. So the phones back then, picture when it comes to quality was not that great. When it comes to using a phone for photography, it's just been recently. I came from a DSLR and shooting with the professional aspect before I began to shoot with the iPhone.
I feel like too, now that the technology has advanced in camera phones and smartphones, that people are now purchasing phones just on the camera alone. They don't really care too much about the software.
That's right.
They're just looking to see what's the best camera I can get. And these phones can vary between $500 to $1,000, $500 to $1,000.
Well, now it's $1,500, $1,600.
People are now spending more money than what some cameras actually cost. Right now I'm filming on a Canon Rebel T6i. It's not the most expensive one, it's a good starter one, but I did start using a smartphone. There are companies out there like Moment Lens and B-Script that make these things specifically for cameras, where you can actually use an actual lens on an iPhone or a smartphone.
With Moment and all these other lens companies that are retrofitting your iPhones to shoot better because of the better lenses. iPhones or smartphones and any type of cameras are based on light. Depending on the ability of the smartphone to accept or process light is really how well that iPhone, that camera, in any camera will provide the picture. But when it comes to photography, I think photography is really about the person behind the camera, more so than the camera itself. The camera is just a tool. So I think the person that's using the phone and wanting to produce professional quality photos will ultimately spend time studying the craft. And in the study, there's a switch that will come and will tell you, well, this equipment is no longer valuable or viable for what I'm trying to do, so I've got to move. So that's the difference between the smartphone photographer or hobbyist versus the professional, because he's going to jump into professional equipment. But I think there is the difference now when a professional decides, I'm going to use a phone and I'm going to see how far I could push it. Now there's a difference.
And there's people who have done it.
Because it's now the person behind the lens. So now the camera, the iPhone now is just a tool. And this guy or this girl knows the nuances, the technology, or the technical aspects of photography and the rules and what you can and cannot break. And now they can apply that to pictures. and you could get incredible photos from any type of phone. Because why? Because it's now being done by a person that understands what needs to be done in order for them to get a proper photo. So it's really that, as opposed to saying, oh, the DSLR is going to be better than the iPhone. Well, if I give it to somebody that don't know, and give a DSLR to somebody that don't know any type of photography technical stuff and techniques, and give the DSLR to a professional who knows all of that stuff, guess who's going to have better photos?
Yes, the professional.
It's the profession.
Yeah. Me personally, coming from the person that used the cell phone as my tool to begin with before I picked up a camera, and now using a DSLR to, you know, take my images and record my footage like I'm doing now, I see the difference. But I feel that there's a place for each one. You know, if you want to be a professional smartphone photographer, you can do it. There's a possibility. If you want to be a DSLR photographer, professional photographer, you can do it. It's more of the person behind the camera. Like PJ said, it's a tool. Matti, I enjoyed your video. I enjoyed what you had to say, and I enjoy your content. I follow you, but I feel like the video that you posted about smartphone photography, I felt was belittling the amateur or belittling the smartphone and the capabilities. If it wasn't good, you wouldn't have companies like Moment or DJI or B-Script that will make these products to make lenses and rigs to help the smartphone. Whether it be a DSLR or a smartphone, you are gonna have great quality, great content. It's about the creator, it's not the tool. So understand that. Personally, for me, I felt like it was very wrong to belittle that community, and I think that you're better than that. I appreciate your work, and I will hope that later on in the future you would, you know, reconsider those thoughts. I just went from smartphone to DSLR, and so that way you can see the differences and understand why people have chosen to jump from DSLR to smartphones or smartphones to DSLR, or use both like me or PJ. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, and I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you.